Hey y'all, welcome back again. Going to do another episode today for Healthy Design. Um, we'll take a break from some of the genetic stuff, going over some of the different SNPs, um, just because today's been kind of a hard day. Um, some of you may know I posted this a while back, um, but close to we're coming up on the 2 year anniversary for my oldest son's death. And so, like I said, it's getting close to 2 years, but there's still times where it's hard. Um, so I guess today is more about me just kind of talking about things, to process it all. But I figure, well, I guess I hope it'll be helpful for other people too. Um, I don't feel like our culture does a good job with grief. It's just something you're supposed to get over. But I can tell you from firsthand experience, come on, Stormy, it's not something you get over. Um, this isn't the first loss that we've had. We've had multiple, um, and they're all hard. But they're all different at the same time. Um, Animals can come in handy. I will just say, I mean, she's purring right now, and that is calming. So if you are having to deal with loss or grief or anything, dog or a cat might be a good idea. Um, I know we had two stray dogs that I found about this time 2 years ago, so not long before my son passed away, and just walking with them in their yard. Um, they knew something was wrong, so little puppies, but they're walking much slower and just with their heads down. So they can kind of feel what's going on with you, and they tend to be helpful. So that's just an aside. But like I was saying, I think a lot of people think we're just supposed to get over it. Well, I mean, if you truly cared for the person and loved them, it's not something you get over. You keep moving forward, but it's always there. Um, how how much is there can vary on a day-to-day basis. Um, all in all, I would say that this year has been easier than last year in a whole bunch of ways. Um, the days where it just hits and you can't do anything have been fewer. They still happen periodically. Today wasn't one of those days where it hit and I couldn't do anything. Um, I actually ended up taking down some trees and limbs and different things like that. So getting out and doing something more physical kind of seemed to be the right way to deal with it this time. Whereas, like for his birthday this year, I was on the couch, didn't move, barely got up. Um, and so I guess I just want to say that whichever way it plays out, whether it is just you're on the couch, you're in the bed, and you don't move, that's okay. I wasn't upset about it, in the sense that, oh, I should be doing this or I should be acting this way. No, I should be acting the way that my body needs to act at that time. And like I said, for his birthday, that was the way I needed to act. That was the best I could do in that moment. And so I don't fault myself for it. I don't feel guilty or anything else. Um, you know, I was sad. I wish it wasn't that way. I wish he was still here. Um, but that's just not the case. And then, today was more of a day where I needed to get that energy out. Um, it was more of a stress in that way, where it was kind of this anxious, nervous energy, I guess. And so getting it out was the better way. The other time, it's just this heaviness and emptiness to where there is no energy, there's nothing to do. Um, so, just keep that in mind and listen to what your body's telling you on how to handle things. no two people are going to handle things the same way. So there's not a right way to do this. It's just kind of whatever's right in that moment. Um, there's going to be times where you mishandle situations just because there's a lot of stress that goes along with that grief, and you're going to mistreat people from time to time, and you just got to go and apologize to them afterwards. Let them know what was going on. Like, hey, I just didn't. I mean, sometimes you don't even know it at the moment. It's later on looking back like, oh, that's what it was. And so if that's the case, just go and apologize to people. I mean, I talked about on here with one of the climbing sessions over at the wall that normally I'm pretty calm. And, as long as I can just learn something, I feel like it was a great session. But this one day, I was just mad. Things were not going the way I thought they should. And I'm just losing it, throwing, a temper tantrum and stuff. And it wasn't until later on in the day, it's like, oh, okay. This is just one of those days where I'm dealing with that grief, and I just hadn't realized it yet. And so, then I can kind of not be upset with myself for not acting the way I thought I should. But, when I know that's going, I can't always do what I should. And I think that's the case for all of us, that with something that big going on, we can't just always do what we should or what's right. So just give yourself that kind of freedom, that grace. We all need it. And I'm telling you, if you mistreated someone that cares about you, if you tell them what's going on and apologize to them, they're going to be, hey, don't worry about it. That's going to be the response. So just don't be afraid of that. One of the things I guess I don't really know where I want to go with this. Sorry, Stormy's on the bench. Like I said, it's just going to be kind of me processing things. So a lot of stream of consciousness thought. But one of the things with this type of loss, it's kind of weird. It's painful, but it's not pain like I'm used to. So it might not be pain like you're used to either, but it's kind of this pain that's this emptiness and heaviness. And I would say for the most part, it's there every single day. The extent that it's there, so how heavy it is, that varies day to day, but it's there. And so for someone else who's having to process grief and process the loss of someone they love, someone they cared about, just know that, this is normal. So I don't think anything I'm saying is abnormal. I don't think it's wrong that this is what I'm experiencing now. It can take a long time to, I don't know, I guess to process it all. I mean, you keep moving forward each day. So it's not that you're not continuing to do things. You are, because that's just the way life is. You have to keep doing things, especially when you have other kids and other responsibilities. You can't just not do anything. But I don't know. Like I said, it's not that you get over it and move on. It's always there, something you'll carry with you forever. And I don't want to make it seem like what I'm going through is so much harder than anybody else. I know a lot of other people who have lost their children too. So, they've had similar experiences, some worse. I mean, some of those same parents, the situations around it could have been worse, or just whatever. I mean, there's just so many things to it. So it's not about who has more, who has less. Um, we have had several things we've had to deal with brain surgery, death, and different things. But there's a lot of people that have had to deal with a whole lot more than what we've had to deal with, and that's unfortunately life. It's not fair. Not everybody has to deal with the same things. And, so we just need to be thankful for what we have. I'm thankful for the time. The time that we had, wish we had more, but we don't. Um, but that's always the case with anyone we've lost. You wish there was more time. Wish you could have told them different things. So it's just hard. It's normal to struggle with regrets or the what if questions. And there's no good answer to those questions. I don't think there's anything that we could have done that would have changed things. I don't think there's anything anybody can do to change the situation or circumstances. This is just the way things go sometimes. So, trying to give yourself some grace on that side of things too can be very helpful for people that are struggling with that. Unfortunately, there's just no good answers, none that we kind of want to hear. There's not something someone can say that's just going to make everything great and everything all right. Nothing that's going to lift that heaviness or fill that emptiness. It's going to be there. And the good thing about that is it's a reminder of that person that we love. So even that emptiness, that heaviness, it's not all bad. We have to try to find the good in it. And it is good to remember our loved ones. It can be very tough early on. The memories just tend to bring more sadness and tears. But luckily, as you start to get a little bit of time, they say time heals. I don't think time heals. It makes things, as time goes by, things get easier. But again, I don't think it necessarily heals. But as time goes by, you can kind of have those memories and you can start to smile and start to laugh. They're good. They're good things. They can be bittersweet because it's sad because you don't have that person here anymore. But it's sweet that you had that person in the first place. So for me, I've got a scar on my thumb, and it was a crossbow incident with my son. Won't get into all the details on that, but just basically I did something I knew not to do, and it took a chunk out of my thumb. Not a huge chunk, but a chunk nonetheless. And I think it scared him completely. It was bleeding just like that, and a good bit of blood. And I'm having to try to clean my thumb to see if I need stitches or whatever else. I probably wouldn't have as much of a scar if I had gone to get a stitch, but I knew I'd be okay without it, so I didn't. But it happened over towards the climbing wall, so then I walked into here to clean it off, and then had to walk home because this is just where I have weights and stuff to get put some kind of bandage on it and everything. And he would not leave my side that entire time, and apologizing, making sure I'm okay, just over and over and over and over again. I know he felt responsible, and in all honesty, at first, the first thing that came out of my mouth probably after it happened, still somewhat in a state of shock, is I blamed him because I didn't want the crossbow or any other kind of thing. Didn't think it was a good idea, and I was just kind of using that to prove my point that it wasn't a good thing. But like I said, it was my fault. I did something that I know I shouldn't have done, or that was pretty stupid and was taking a risk, and I did it anyway. He didn't force me to. I could have easily said no. And so, not long after it happened, I made that clear to him. Like, look, that's on me. This is not on you. I know I said that, but that was emotion and other things getting in there, and it's not accurate. Um, so, yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly happy. I've got this, well, at the time I wasn't happy. I had this scar on my thumb, not because I'm that vain or anything, but just, that wasn't the most pleasant experience in the world. But now I get to look at that and have a reminder every time. So something that didn't seem so good in the moment seems pretty good now. But sorry, this is kind of a downer episode. But I know there's got to be people out there struggling with something. Maybe it isn't grief exactly, but just there's this heaviness on you. I just I hope this is helpful for people to where maybe you can just see that some of this is normal. So it's normal for it to be there. It's not going to be like this every day. Tomorrow will be different. Yesterday was different. Wasn't anywhere close to what it has been today. So just know that every day is going to be different. Look for ways to deal with things. So animals, people, they can all make a difference, and you're not alone on stuff too. Um, there's other people that are going through similar experiences. Some people that are going through things that weren't as bad, some things that are much worse. So we're never alone. Unfortunately, these struggles, these difficulties are a part of life. Good thing about that is they help to shape us. They help to build our character and kind of show us who we are and what we can do and what we can accomplish and kind of deal with. So I just hope this is helpful for people and you can kind of see things in that light and just know you're not alone. So I think that's it for Stormy and I. I hope you guys found something beneficial from this. Please like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff, guys. All right. And we'll get back on topic with genetics and some of the different SNPs next week. Thank you, Stormy. All right, guys. Have a good one.